right, everybody, welcome to Scanning the Industry, presented by UVeye. And we are here with a couple of rock stars in the industry. We have David Shoemaker and Eliel Ramirez. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It's we're going to have a great conversation today, and the first thing that I wanted to know was what convinced each of you that your stores needed to do business differently than the phrase that we always love in this industry. We've always done it this way. David?
Yeah, so I think we're a big all or nothing store. So our culture says that we have to do everything and give it everything we've got to see what works and what doesn't. That requires change, that requires pivoting. We've been not stuck in the mud for a long time, and that's allowed us to be out of one of the smallest AORs, especially at a Subaru store, one of the top performing leaders in New England because of that. We can pivot. The way we've always done things doesn't get growth. It doesn't get you where you need to be.
Leo, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for us, it was a number of things. We are a luxury brand here at Infiniti, and for us, it's always been we want to provide that white glove, red carpet service. That's first and foremost. But secondly, I think the what convinced me was the pain point of twofold: having some damage on the service drive and having to having to bounce around with, okay, so, who's accountable, who's responsible. And then from an acquisition standpoint on trade-ins, this helps tremendously. It's revolutionary. It's high tech. It's, to me, it was an easy decision to make.
Excellent. Good stuff. And so, guys, you're the leaders of the stores, right? You guys are at the head of the chain there in the store, day-to-day leadership. How would your teams describe your leadership style if they had to do it in one word? And then would you agree with how they described you?
I think for me, it's aggressive. Again, we're an all or nothing store. I would very much agree with what they would say. You have to go after it. They have to feel the passion. They have to feel the excitement for what you're going to do. Aggressive doesn't have to have a negative connotation. We have a lot of fun doing it. So,
yeah. To David's point, I think I would also echo the same kind of the same message. So mine would be intense and involved. I know that's two, but I like to be in the trenches every bit of inspecting what I expect, and I like to be in the trenches with our guys and gals.
I like it. David, I want to go back over to your answer. You've said it twice now. You're an all or nothing store. What for people out there watching, what does that mean to you?
So when somebody comes to you and they say they've got something that can work and they can provide you the metrics or the data points to say, we can make you more profitable, we can save you time, a commodity that nobody can really get more of. You have to give everything you've got into that change, into that future. If you don't, you can't say that it's not working. You can't say that it is working. You have to try everything they're telling you to do. If somebody comes in and tells you to change pricing, do exactly what they say in all your cars. That way you'll know if it's working or not. If somebody comes in and says, I've got this scan tool that will increase efficiency, it will decrease policy, it'll help you to accelerate the accuracy in which you transact. If you don't give it everything you've got, if you don't put everything you know into it, you're never going to know if it's going to work and do what they say it's going to do.
Like it. I love that. Love that attitude. Taking us into the next topic, which is culture. And before any technology, before we bring any technology or any change into the dealership, you got to lay some cultural groundwork. And so, what did that look like for you guys that you had to work on for culture, so that any technology you brought in, not just UVeye, anything culture or technology or change that you were bringing in, that your employees felt safe working with the new process, the new technology, whatever it is?
Yeah, I think for us, it's all about setting the expectation early on, and letting everybody know not just what we're doing, but why we're doing it. And I think that when you give the why, I think everything else, and you have to have buy-in, 100% buy-in. So when you give the why we're doing this, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, he stole my line. I would say that 100%. It's all about the why, and you have to inform and educate at every level in the dealership. Everybody has to know why you're doing something, and that way there's no confusion, there's no questions as to what it's going to benefit the dealership and how it's going to benefit their day-to-day operations too.
The why is so important when we're trying to get a team to follow us, right? It's important that they know where we're headed, because they don't see our vision all the time, right? So we have to explain that vision for them to see that. So going back to UVeye now, walk us through the first week with UVeye. What kind of things went right? What went sideways, and what have you learned from it?
So our first week was absolutely awful. Nothing worked right. It took a few technician visits, but they were fantastic with their customer service. They communicating with us 100% of the way. It took us about 2 or 3 weeks to get up and running, but we've literally had very, very little, if any, issues at all with the system. And again, I think the reason I bring that up is because of the communication, how they kept us informed, how they spoke to us. There was a lot of times I was getting a phone call saying, "Hey, listen, something's not working right. We're going to have to put the system on pause." We didn't even know it wasn't working right until they were saying, "Hey, listen, our technicians, our coordinators are online. They're seeing the stuff. We got to fix it." So that's a huge point. The aftercare was huge for us.
Awesome. And Eliel, I think you already had it in your store when you got there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sorry I don't have any battle wounds or scars or stories. I came in and this was already in full force and full swing, and it's been great. But to echo David's point on customer service, it's really been top notch in terms of follow up, in terms of support, in terms of immediate care. It's been good. But yeah, I wish I had stories for you guys about the first week, but mine was a little bit smoother.
All right. And so ROI versus the reality, or ROI reality versus the expectations. David, what returns showed up fast for you, and what took a little bit longer than you thought they might?
So ours is a unique scenario. We actually utilize ours far more. It's an entire dealership tool, but we do a lot more for appraisals and acquisition, and then really service policy. And I think time was the biggest ROI. And I know that's a hard measurement to really put out on paper, but the amount of time it saved us for who, as Eliel was saying earlier, who's responsible, the time it takes you to navigate and really investigate how did this car get damaged? Who damaged it? Was it damaged before it even got to us? It was almost instantaneous. I mean, service, we've got quite a big service department, largest Subaru service department dealership in New England. We have so many customers coming in and out. It was very, very quickly before we had somebody say, "Oh, my wheel wasn't damaged." As a matter of fact, it was. I've got a scan right here saying that when it came through, it was already damaged. Okay, no problems after that whatsoever.
Yeah. And so, Eliel, for you, again, the machine was already there, but in your expectations when you got there and started working with it, what kind of things were you seeing?
Well, the ROI is definitely something, because the things that it improves in terms of processes, it is a little hard to gauge. To David's point in saying that the savings in check-in time, God, now we don't have to do manual walkarounds with the advisor and do photos or video of the check-in process. That alone was taking anywhere between 6 to 8 minutes. Now it's less than a minute, just driving through the UVeye machine. So that's a little hard to measure. I think from a customer satisfaction standpoint, the ROI is huge. It's efficient. It's we cycle the cars very quickly. From a used car appraisal standpoint, I think the ROI is huge. We're detecting leaks that, under any other circumstances, we wouldn't have detected before. We're detecting tire and alignment concerns right away. So again, a little bit hard to measure, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point with the walk around, right? Because the walk around over the past decade has really become a point out damage to the customer kind of
Right.
thing, right? And you're almost saying to the customer as they come in, we don't trust you, so we're going to point all this stuff out to begin with. And now, utilizing this technology, you're allowed to just go back to your advisors being relationship builders, right? They can spend that time that you know that the UVeye machine is going to find everything that can protect you later if needed. And now your advisor can just spend time building that relationship and trust with the customer.
Absolutely.
Right. So what do you think has changed your service lane conversation with your customers the most? Whether that's something that UVeye has done or some other tech or something else that goes on in your service lane?
For us, I think transparency has been a keynote with our guests. It's all on there. Like we share the UVI inspection report with them right away. They're appreciative. I'd say 99% of the time. Like, wow, we did not know that that you guys had this technology in place. So it's been nothing but good conversation, good dialogue, and good reception from our guests.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I think with the video picture multi-point inspection tools in combination with the UVI, UVI is more of a passive tool in our service department. They're already checked in by the time the car gets driven through the scanner, but we've got a giant kiosk in the service waiting area. Customers will re-engage with the service advisors because they've got a question about something they saw. It brings, whenever a customer can bring it up first, it's so much easier to capitalize on a sale, on an upsell, whatever that is. When a customer brings it up, it's so much easier to handle from the transparency side of things, like Eliel was saying, for sure.
So when you say you have a kiosk in the waiting area, there's a place where they can go and review their UVI results from when they
Yeah, so it's right. It's a 60-inch TV almost that stands upright. That's touchscreen. As cars come through, the scans pop up on the screen. Customers can go up and say, "Oh, where's my car?" They can click on it. Our advisors, our porters, our service managers, our sales managers, anybody who walks through and they see somebody up against that kiosk or just goes through and says, "Hey, does anybody want to see the underbody inspection or side scans of their cars?" And we can go and get into conversation with the customer.
That's very cool. I love that as a customer engagement tool rather than just letting them sitting there passively in your waiting area.
It's instant common ground.
Yeah, that's awesome. So beyond the technology, but this question can be technology answered. Another emerging tool or process that you guys have put in place that's just quietly moving the needle in your dealerships.
For us to complement the UVI inspection and staying with that technology and digital front, we video MPI every single vehicle that comes into our service department. So the customer not only gets the initial UVI scan and inspection report, as soon as they're wrapping up with service or as soon as we have their vehicle diagnosed, they're getting a full, sometimes 2 to 3 minute video MPI. So, and that standard or expectation is set at 100% compliance across the board through all of our technician staff, to almost to a point where they have to answer, if they miss a video MPI. And, there sometimes there are legitimate reasons why one is skipped, whether they're having camera issues or whether the car, was taken by another technician or by the advisor too early or what. But I mean, these are few and far between.
Mm.
Yeah, we've actually adopted a separate process outside of the technology side of things. We've done customer advocacy accounts to anybody who's customer facing. We've eliminated the need for them to go to a manager to help a customer. We don't want anybody to say no, or I can't do that, or it's outside of my purview, or it's outside of my pay grade. Anybody who deals with customers has an advocacy account that they can go to. They can buy them a hat. They can buy them a keychain. They can fix something on a vehicle if it's a dent that the customer notices or a spare key. And it's our NPS has gone through the roof. Profitability has actually gone up. The happier you can make them earlier on, the less money it costs you in the long run.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge help.
Yeah, that's cool. That's Ritz-Carlton. I don't know if it's still this way, but Ritz-Carlton used to, every employee had a $2,000 budget that they could do anything within that $2,000 to make a customer happy.
Absolutely.
It's amazing what it does for customer service when the first person a customer goes to solves their issue.
Can say yes,
Right.
100%.
Yeah. Even if it does get solved by somebody down the line, that 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes that it takes to solve it, that friction just makes that solution, even if it was going to be exactly the same, not feel as satisfying to a customer.
100%. Yep.
So what 3 KPIs do you have your leaders looking at that you didn't even track 5 years ago?
For us, it's customer wait time, check-in process, active delivery. I mean, we were tracking them, but not to the extent that we're hyper focused on them now. And the hyper focus comes from, we are spending this money on this technology. We're seeing return because of it with higher customer satisfaction scores. So I think those 3 for us is customer wait time, and active delivery, and overall, being updated constantly.
Yeah, we did with the picture, video, MPI, active delivery, and those are the big 2 that we focus on right now that we weren't doing 5 years ago.
Yep. It's you go back 5 years ago, and it's amazing the difference in this industry of the things that we're looking at and focused on, right? Like the old adage used to be that waiters are going to wait, right? and now that's not acceptable.
Nope.
Excellent. So how about let's talk about mindset. Super important, obviously, from your position as a leader. How are you keeping your veteran techs and your veteran advisors from feeling like the new tech is there to pass judgment on them as opposed to helping them?
Yeah. I'll revert back to an answer from before, and it's all about setting the bar, setting the expectation, and giving them the why. Once again, I mean, this is why we're doing this, and it's not. Thankfully, we've had very good reception with our tech staff and our advisor staff for this new technology, and it's been pretty seamless and smooth. But again, just giving them the why.
Yeah, we had to actually take a little bit different approach. A lot of the veterans in this business, whether it's sales, parts, service, they think that if they simply say, I'm going to go someplace else, I'm going to find another job, I don't like this, I'm going to move on. We had to give them the why. That was the biggest part of what we're doing now. But we also had to sit there and say, listen, we don't want you to go. All right, we want, you're a big part of the organization, a big part of why the culture is the way it is, but we're not going to beg you to stay. Right. If you don't want us to be here and partake and get better time management, better customer service, better, more. If you don't want that, maybe we've outgrown each other. And that has pretty much turned a complete 180 on anybody who was negative about it. And they're buying in, and they're helping the younger generation buy into it. It's actually a really, really nice transition.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. I used to always tell somebody, look, I don't want to hold you back. If you feel that there's somewhere that is better for you, then I'll do everything I can to keep you here because we want you to be part of the team. But if you ultimately feel that you'd be better off somewhere else, then we want you to succeed, whether it's with us or somewhere else. What does an effective rollout session look like at your store for training on something new? Timeline, ownership, follow-up. How do you guys work through that?
We have kind of determined there's 3 time frames in which something can be rolled out: 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. Once we identify what time frame we can roll it out in, then it's just the accountability and making sure that the manager, starting at the top, right? If all the managers are in agreement, then the rest kind of flows down accordingly. Yep. But yeah, it's about holding people accountable, setting those metrics, putting in writing, making sure they know what we're trying to accomplish, and then following through.
Yeah, for us, it's having a plan. To a lot of David's points, it's having a plan and making sure we execute. Having from a higher level, 30, 60, 90-day plan, but from a more granular level, having a daily, a daily recap of how we're progressing. So it's all about having a plan for us.
Right. So how how did you guys? This doesn't have to relate just to UVeye, but that's a big investment in the dealership. Anything that you're trying to bring into the either the individual dealership or the group, how do you sell that to ownership? How do you get them to approve that capital outlay and understand the change management that you're trying to deal with?
Yeah. I think we're all in sales here, and it's all about pitch and presentation. And if the dollars and cents make sense, then everything else is all about in the pitch and the presentation, feature and benefit.
That's exactly, again, stole my line. Feature benefit is a huge part of that. And I mean, everything is coming down to data and metrics now. You can prove at some level, one way, shape, or form, what what it can do for you. And then you go to the simple ROI. This is what we anticipate the return on investment is going to be and how long it's going to take us to get there. And again, as Eliel said, we're all salespeople. You can make that work.
All right. So now you made it work. The dealership or group invested in what you put forward, and it failed. Share one of those moments and share what you learned from that and why you'd be glad that you actually still went forward with it.
I'll go through a recent example, and it wasn't anything that was too costly. This was a pilot program, so at the end of the day, didn't cost us any money. But this was a video chat feature that Infiniti was piloting for us. And I don't know if the technology there is just not quite there yet, but it seemed to be very filled with glitches and errors. And I mean, I'm glad I still tried it because I think it's going to be a wonderful technology when the wrinkles get ironed out. But that's just a recent example that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, we had tried to pilot a full AI chat feature, and it didn't. Nothing was quite as it was promised to us. And then the only other one that's worth bringing up is we tried a 3-day manager schedule. 3 days bell to bell. It backfired horrifically in our face. We can do it, and we've realized that we can do it in just about any other position in the dealership other than managers. We need the managers here at least 4 days a week. So we're not 5 days, but we're 4 days now. For some of them. It's a flexible schedule, and you have to try these things to determine what outside the box thinking you can do to help your store grow culturally and performance wise. Mm-hmm. You don't get growth if you don't fail.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. So let me ask a question about the 3-day management experiment. What was it that caused that to fail? Were they just not there enough days to be in touch with what was going on? It's everybody too easy to pass it up.
Everybody started finger pointing. You're here 3 days, you're off 3 days, you're here every other day. Well, so and so didn't do this, so and so didn't do that. It wasn't, the mommy daddy syndrome. Salespeople or advisors were going to one person versus another, getting different answers. It was just, there's a few different things that led to that failure, but it ultimately resulted in better communication, more frequent meetings, and again, a schedule that works for some people if they want it. So,
yeah. And so, Eliel, on the video chat, what was the video chat used for? Was it a customer engages on the website, and instead of a chat text bot, you were able to do a video chat with them?
Correct. Yeah. So it's multiple purposes, I guess. It's on every VDP. It's on every page on our website where, whether it's sales, service, parts, where you have the option to video chat, comes into a queue where we have our staff ready to, whoever's available, ready to answer. Is more meant for sales. But getting back to the wrinkles, it is still, I think, very early on, and connectivity seem to be an issue. Sometimes quality of the video call seemed to be an issue. Acceptance on the customer's part, like if we were trying to video chat them. I think it's a wonderful concept. I just think there's still some wrinkles to be ironed out.
I can see that. I have a son that just turned 19, and it always makes me laugh. He's always talking to his friends on his iPhone with video chat. I'm an Android guy. I don't know what that's called, an Android. Yeah. But they're never actually looking at each other. They're either just walking around, they have it, blurred out or whatever, but they never have phone calls. It's always a video call that they do, but they're never actually looking at each other.
Yep.
It's interesting. All right, this goes to your AI experiment, David. Profit versus people, and you're introducing automation, AI. There's more and more and more of it that's coming out. How do you ensure that the conversation stays about those technologies elevating your people and empowering your people more, rather than cutting heads, which is a lot of people in the dealerships. That's what they fear right now, that you're going to bring in AI and you're going to cut their job out.
I think at some point it still comes down to that time management, and time is a commodity. AI done the right way will allow one person to do what three people can do. If you're talking about growth potential for the store, AI will allow you to handle more things without having to bring more people on. So diluting the staff, thus affecting pay plans, so on and so forth. They have to understand it's about managing their time better customer experience as a result of being able to do more with a little bit. And that's how we've kind of worked around that whole cutting heads versus the future performance of the industry.
Yeah, for us, it's a lot to David's points, but for us, it's also about immediate responses, making sure the customer gets responded to in a quality fashion, and making sure that no one's left out in the cold or in the dark. And all it does is enhance the customer experience, I think.
Yeah, at the end, right? That's what we're all trying to do, right? Without the customer, none of us have jobs. So, everything has to drive that customer experience in a meaningful way. So, let's talk about customer trust and then the trust they have in us. Have you seen any CSI or retention lift, either from using where you can point to it that UVeye did that, or something else that you've done in the dealership that has really given you measurable jumps?
In the name of transparency, I think we've seen an immediate lift because of that. Nothing is hidden. Everything is at the forefront. Everything is there to be seen from the moment that, our process, unlike David's process, is a little different. When the customer drives in, the UVeye machine is the first thing that they have to drive through. So it's the customer driving through the UVeye machine, and they're immediately, like, even prior to check-in, they're getting their inspection report either texted or emailed to them. So for us, I'll just revert back to that word transparency. It's all on the table.
Yeah, it's again that time management for us. People will transact quicker when they trust you, and to Eliel's point, the transparency side of things. It's not just them taking our word for it. We don't have to walk them back out to their car. We can show them the video. We can show them the picture. We can show them the detections on the screen. UVeye has increased our transparency 10-fold, 100-fold even, and has significantly reduced the transaction time with customers as it relates to negotiating on their trade, problems with their cars in service, trying to figure out, again, as I said earlier, about the damage, who did this, who done what, whatever it is. It's exponential.
And Eliel, you just brought up a good point that David's process is way different than yours. And so, David, if you could just explain a little bit of how you guys do this with UVeye, because it's not in your service drive, and I think most people are picturing it that way.
So at our Acura store, it is in the service drive. It's the first thing you drive through. And to Eliel's point, it has that instant customer interaction. At our Subaru store, because of space constraints and the volume of traffic through our service department, the customer drives in, they check in with the advisor. The porter or the advisor then gets into the car, drives it around the other side of the building where the UVeye machine is, and then goes and parks it, and as it waits for dispatch to get dispatched to a technician, or driven right into a technician bay. Mm-hmm. So by the time the customer is checked in, their customer's already sitting in the lounge, and that's where that big kiosk comes into play, and we can get the re-engagement with the customer. Because people struggle. People-to-people interactions are struggling over the past couple of years. So anything that you can have to help that re-engagement and help you just say, hey, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I've got this really neat thing to show you, follow me, and then go right into the neat thing, right? It's just awesome.
Yeah. And so using the data that we have, right? And we have endless mounds of data in service and sales in a dealership. Using that as a tool, how do you use the data to coach your teams rather than police your teams, right? I think in the past, us as leaders have maybe leaned too much to saying, hey, this your effective labor rate is a little too low. We need to bring that up. Or why did you do this on this repair order? And changing that to how are we coaching them so that they're not worried about their numbers that way, because they know you're not there to police them. You're there to try and help them.
For us, the video MPI is huge. Outside of the UVeye, I think the UVeye is a good process and technology for our advisors. Hey, you've had X amount of, recommended alignments. You've had X amount of bad tires come through the drive. But for us, the video MPI is a big tool to coach, because we're able to see the quality of the video. It's the technicians that shoot our videos, and then send it over to the straight to the customer. The advisors have access to these videos. But if we're shooting good quality videos with thorough explanations and pinpointing whatever issues or recommendations we're giving to our customers, I think at that point it does become a coaching opportunity. Hey, this was a great video. Why didn't we get the sale here? Or maybe it was a bad video. Maybe it was too shaky. Maybe they were going around all over the place. Maybe they weren't focused. They're talking about hoses and they just stay focused on a tire. It's a very good coaching opportunity when we see good videos and are able to share with the rest of our staff, and when we see videos that weren't so good.
We've utilized the data to transition to people to sit there and say, listen, if you can do it this way, you have a much higher chance of having these results. If you do it the way that you're doing it now, or that if you forget to use this, these are the opportunities or the chance of the results being whatever this is. So if we can sit there and on a daily or weekly basis, we've got monthly and biweekly coaching sessions with advisors, salespeople, and technicians to sit there and say, these are your goals. Why do you think you were at, below, or above your goal? Let them come up with the reasons, and then we can show the data points to say, hey, we noticed that you're below your goal, but you didn't do this, that, and the other thing. If you do these things, right? The UVeye scan in particularly with the appraisers on the sales desk. Hey, we noticed that your cost to market was 88% last week, but the week before you were at 83%. We noticed that in the appraisal tool, the UVeye scan was in 90% of your appraisals, but this week it's only in whatever. You do understand that we can, so if you can use the data to show these are the results that you get when you have it, these are the results that you get when you don't, that makes all the difference in the world in a coaching session, because the people can relate to that and say, oh yeah, so if my behavior changes, I'll perform better. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And Eliel, to your point on the video multi-point from the technician, being able to show them that this type of video that you do produces X results on your repair order, and this type of video produces Y results, right? So you can show them when you do this type of more in-depth or better or more focused video, you get more sales from that, and therefore make more money to take home to your family. That becomes a great way for them to understand, hey, if I do it this way, it's going to be better for everybody.
Absolutely.
And so cross-department benefits. Have you seen anything with the tech that's helped with parts, collision type sales? And I know you're both using it for sales, but I'll add in sales that you found that it helps with.
So two things for us. One, obviously an increase in tire sales. That's good. We've seen a lift there. But I will revert back to our reconditioning process, or our appraisal process, I should say. We are now able to set up a more specific reconditioning figure than before. I mean, before we kind of used what average was. Hey, on average, we're seeing 2,500 to 3,000. Now we're able to be very specific and intentional with our inspection scans and what's going to be needed in terms of tires, in terms of alignments, in terms of any kind of cosmetic repair, and more importantly, identifying any kind of minor or major leaks.
David?
Yeah, I mean, cross-departmentally, I mean, it's a better communication. We can sit there and very easily say, hey, listen, check out the scan on this car. We can forward the link to a service manager. We don't have to run around and chase down the car. cross-departmentally, we've found it much easier to communicate with the customers, with each other on what needs to be done and how effectively and how quickly we can get the work done as a result.
All right. David, this one goes to your where all or nothing mentality. Do you find that having that mentality and being a tech forward store that you attract a different caliber of applicant? And if the answer to that is yes, how are you leveraging that in trying to recruit people into the store?
Well, as we recruit people, we require if they thought the grass was greener and left and they're trying to come back, we require them to do a video before the interview is even set up, as it relates to what they know about us, what they're hoping to accomplish by coming to the store and working for our organization, and a little bit about themselves and their family and why they might be looking to make a change. If they're unwilling to do that video, when we're moving forward into a video prevalent society, right? We get more done. Things happen easier with video. They're not considered. And we've been surprised by a couple people. When we hired a parts driver that relocated from Texas to Maine. He's an older gentleman, I would say above 50, and he did a video, and he was the only one of all the people that we did it, and that netted him the job.
That's great. I like that. I like that approach. Having them do a video. You can certainly learn a lot more there than you're going to in a standard interview too, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Eliel, how about you? You find being a tech forward store gets you some different people?
I think so. I think that when we promote everything that we do that is outside of the norm, I think that's noticed, and we're able to promote it, and we're sure to promote it anytime we're talking about it, whether it be an initial interview or whether they're here. We have a thing that's called a cultural fit. So prior to getting hired on, you go through your traditional interview, your second interview. If we think that you're going to be a good fit for the staff, we welcome you in for one day, and it's a paid day before we make a hiring decision. And we have that person, whatever role it is, shadow somebody else in that role, a cultural fit ambassador. And then we as a group make a decision, as a management team, make a decision after that cultural fit, if that person's going to, fit our culture, and the candidate does the same thing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I don't think I've heard that process before, and certainly that gives you some time with the person. Again, as the video brings out stuff that an interview doesn't, I'm sure a day with that person brings out some stuff that the interview didn't. Very cool. And so, as our workforce is evolving, we've got different skills and roles that we're hiring for today. That didn't even exist a decade ago. What are some of those skills or roles that exist now that you guys did not have in the dealership back then?
No, I think to what I was saying.
I'm going through one. Right? All right, go ahead, David. Sorry.
I think, but the videos specifically, they have to have some technological background. They have to understand the importance of it and where we're moving with it. The skill set. Determination, drive is a skill we've always looked for, but it's much easier to kind of wean out now. We need that drive and we need that determination, but we also need the willingness to try something new and be uncomfortable. You have to be okay being uncomfortable to be able to work and move forward in the organization.
Leo?
Yeah, for us, I'm going through one right now where really trying to hone in and launch a good, solid acquisition team with a solid. And that's something that I could say wasn't in place 10 years ago, where its acquisition is becoming so crucial. Whether they be street buys, whether they're service drive acquisitions, whether they're organic trades, we find ourselves, because of the big box stores, the Carvanas, the CarMaxes, the AutoNations, and their presence in the market of offering top dollar, we find ourselves kind of in a corner with that. So again, acquisition has been so crucial and more important than ever for us.
That's cool. So back in the day, the radio stations had their street teams, right? That's kind of your acquisition team there. You gotta get them a van to go around with. Vendor partnership. What makes a technology partner great in your eyes, and what is a deal breaker for you both?
Flexibility is a must. Unwillingness to be flexible is a deal breaker.
Right.
Well, to that point, support for us. I mean, we have to have the support. Customer service is huge, and that again is a deal breaker if it's not there.
Yeah, that question could go a lot of ways, but I think that sums it up really succinctly. And in this technology driven world, that's a must, right? It's no longer everything fits in this box, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't work for you. Everything has to kind of move and shift.
I think to UVeye's point, when we started talking to them and we said, geez, the system would work a little bit better if we can do this, or if we could get this out to the customer a little bit better, their answer was never, oh, I can't do that, or it's on the table for years down the road. It's, well, let's get the R&D team together, right? Let's talk to that dev team and see what we can do to make this a reality now, right? Mm-hmm. That flexibility is the one thing that has made the UVeye partnership specifically invaluable to us as it relates to their willingness to do what it takes to improve our customer success stories.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to hear. That they're listening to their customers, right, and understanding what the pain points are. Just as we as leaders inside the dealership need to listen to our teams because they're seeing things that we don't see. They're listening to what you guys are seeing, which are things they don't see.
100%.
All right. If you could place a bet for the next 24 months on one big tech change, where are you going to put your chips?
AI.
Anything specific in AI?
It's too broad of a term right now to get super specific. I mean, AI is transforming on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah.
New uses for it are being found all the time, and how we can implement it and pair it with people that are in store. As long as it continues to grow in the rate and the way in which it's growing, AI probably will be the next game changer in many, many industries, not just automotive.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. AI, automation as a whole, and videos. I mean, videos are where we're headed. Everything is on video. It's no longer in script. It's no longer an email. It's no longer print. It's all going towards video.
Yeah, and now you match up some AI with those tech videos, and there's some pretty cool things, places your mind can go to think about things that could get done with that.
Indeed.
All right, you guys you're sitting in your 20 group, and you've got some GMs that are hesitant. What's one small low risk experiment that any store could do in the next 30 days to build momentum? And this can be UVeye related, any tech related experiment that they could run, because they believe it's just a people business. You don't need tech to make this go.
I think if you go down to the simple form of videos, right? Send a video out to a customer to introduce yourself for appointment confirmation.
Yeah.
Right. Your appointment show ratio will go up. In service, if you've got a car that has to have a fuel pump or a fuel tank recall done on it, take a picture or a video of what that back seat should look like versus some of these back seats that come into our service departments.
Yeah. Right.
The time that it's going to take a technician to clean out a back seat or do something like that, they'll be able to see pretty immediate results. If you use this technology and use it in the right way that a customer can relate to, you'll see better results. It doesn't take much effort. It just takes willingness to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Willingness and buy-in, commitment. I'd say those three things. You have to have buy-in. You have to commit yourself. And you have to go all in and execute. And I would agree with David. I think videos, and that is a very low cost, low risk, but commit and execute.
Yeah. And that video example that you just gave is a great example, because sometimes we assume that the customer knows, right? They're coming in to get a fuel pump replaced. How many customers realize that you need to take out a back seat to do that in a lot of vehicles nowadays, right? They're
exactly.
And even if you say, could you have the back seat cleaned out? We have to access that for the fuel pump. What does that actually mean? But sending him a video of what it should look like, that clears that all up. Guys, you're looking back on your time in the dealership, or your team is looking back on your time in the dealership, I should say. How do you hope they describe the era that you're leading right now?
I hope I become the good old days. That's what I want.
I would hope that our team would view it as evolving, adapting, and pioneering.
I love it. All right, and this is it. We're going to close with this. One word you never want to hear in the service drive again.
No.
For me, it would be. And you said one word. Okay, yeah, I think I'd just echo that. No.
Yeah, no, can't, anything along that lines, right? Guys, this has been a lot of fun. David, any final thoughts?
Listen, the UVeye specifically has been a great partner. They have increased time for us. It's a hard commodity to measure, but you have to look at time. You have to look at the time your people take to do things around the dealership on a day-to-day basis. It will save you time. That's all. That's huge about it. Anything that can save you time, it's worth trying.
Absolutely. Eliel, close us out.
Yeah, time is money. Time and money, and I revert back to our reconditioning process, which I'm extremely grateful for, and really holding our appraisal team, our used car manager, accountable and responsible. Because the first thing that I'm going to go back to is, what did our inspection report look like? So we have to inspect what we expect, and yeah, time is precious, to David's point.
I love it. Eliel, David, thanks for joining us on Scanning the Industry, brought to you by UVeye. And everybody else, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.